I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're in round 4 of the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship 2025. And we're approaching the decisive events for the group stage of the tournament. Today we have two exciting matches which are sadly scheduled in almost completely overlapping times. We're going to be starting with Taiwan versus Croatia, which is going to be decisive for Group G, for the tournament situation in Group G. And then just half an hour later, the undefeated Finland will be meeting Team Hong Kong in Group A. Hong Kong absolutely needs to have this win in order to try and qualify for the playoffs. For Finland, it's more about preserving their undefeated streak and keeping the #1 spot in the group. The plan for today is as follows. We're going to start with Taiwan and Croatia, and as soon as the score becomes decided, so as soon as one of the team wins 3 duels, we're going to be immediately switching to Finland versus Hong Kong. But of course, we're going to be trying to catch a glimpse of a bit of everything. So without further ado, we're now going to do a preview of the chances for the teams. I think it's very close to 50-50 for both of these encounters. I want to start straight with the duel between Steven Chang and Tompa99. As you see, because they're respectively the second strongest player in Taiwan and the second strongest player in Croatia, at least according to me. Well, maybe Buha44 could compete with Tompa99 for this title in Croatia, right? But the idea is that it's as close as it gets. So you see it's 617 rating for Steven, 616 for the Croatian player. Yellow meeples for Croatia, so my slight sympathies go out for them. And Steven Chang plays black, and in the meantime has his meeples in a bit of a pickle, as yellow gets himself the first 2 points on the board. So, Steven does complete a city though, for 6 points over here. For the first couple of minutes, still need to sort some technicalities about the stream. So, oh, that's actually interesting. So Steven doesn't care about the survival of his road meeple. He mostly cares about finishing the city for 6 points, which actually makes sense and gives black the edge here. Tompa is scoring quick points and trying to pressure those black meeples. So this road's under threat, but at least yellow's gonna now finish a city for 8 points for complete equality, and now the position is pretty much equal. So the players are equal on the scoreboard, but Steven has, or at least is about to have 3. Really? Ah, this is interesting. This is actually a pretty neat move by Steven. So I thought that intuitively he'd just go here, which makes the most sense. You finish the road, start a new city, but here he actually wants to preserve a 75% chance of saving this road meeple. Now, this road is already scoring 6 points. It's a perfectly fine placed meeple, but Steven decides that it is not enough. He even wants to complete this road. And there are still 2 tiles that fit into this square for a 75% chance to not only continue his road, but also to snatch the 6-point city in the process. And with one of the 6 remaining curves, it's quite easy to finish this road for 9 points. Yes, and get a meeple back. So this is pretty interesting. So he's going to get 9 points. 9 points here for this road like this in the future. And then he's going to get this 6 points for the city with about a 75% chance. So 15 times 75%, it's around 11 something. Yeah, so it's an 11-point setup on average, or, 15-point setup, which is quite likely to work. And yeah, this is a very, very smart decision by Steven. There is, of course, one teeny tiny downside, is that there's still 1 more blocking tile remaining. So if yellow draws the last remaining road monastery, yellow can go over here, score 2 points, and then block this square. but it is so unlikely. A far more likely outcome is that Steven going to get a curve first and cover up the square completely. He's also now trying to pressure Yellow City a little bit. This is looking already pretty good for Black, although Yellow does have the monastery cluster at the bottom. Now tries to equalize the road. Steven with the splitter tile finishes the city for 4 points. Yellow, who I think is Thomas Bohinchik. At least that would make sense. Because they're siblings. There are multiple pairs of siblings in several Carcassonne teams. And I remember that Philip is Buha 44. So then Thomas must be Tompa 99. Yeah. Or at least, I'm only 95% sure. But if I get this wrong, then I do apologize in advance for calling the player who I think is Thomas the wrong name. Although I'm about 95% sure. Anyway, a lot of stuff going on in the background. We will also needs to be on the lookout for the start of Finland versus Hong Kong. All right, let's make this one a bit bigger. So 4 points, Steven is ahead. And I think one move which is tempting for him is just to go here and get a meeple back. But I'd hate to do that because he'd be also helping Yellow City. And that's why he thinks better of it, just simply makes his only reasonable quick point move to get himself 2 points there. Thomas starting a new city at the top. And trying, of course, to pressure Black City at the bottom. And this is not an easy decision for Black. Well, apparently it is an easy decision. But the idea is he chooses to restrict his city, his own city a little bit, just so that it does not get restricted harder. So let's say if Thomas were to get a curve, Thomas would do something like this. And then Steven would then be needing the one remaining dagger tile. Because look at this, 1 and 2. All of the 3 are on the board. Now that way, especially with this two road configuration, Steven has more tiles that fit into this square, but now he's forced a bit into some more defensive moves. So you see what Tompa did, right? So he went here and tried to threaten the complete blocking of this. And then as the result, Steven was kind of forced, although I'm not sure if I would have done this actually, to use a absolute lovely, at least 4-point tile for the defense of this square. And actually, this is not even a complete defense, because Thomas can easily get himself a starting tile, well, now not anymore, and block this. But ideally, of course, Black would be using this tile here to start this city on the right. It's 5 points already, and if it's going to get completed, it's going to be 10 points. So honestly, as Steven, I might have even sacrificed this meeple here, just not bothering to defend, and starting a new city like this. Well, at least he's going to have a chance to do so now, I presume. Anything else wouldn't really be a good investment of a meeple. Both players not seem to be wanting to pick up this empty city on the right. It's pretty much the second best tile to do so. So if not now, then when, Steven? Of course, he does so now. And now Thomas is going to break that city, probably. At least I don't see anything necessarily better. I guess we could go here and prolong our city a little bit. We could go here, obstruct our opponent's monastery. Yeah, but this move, just playing against the most direct threat, makes the most sense. Steven, with a monastery, chooses to finally block this square, not allowing Thomas to easily complete a 10-point city. Of course, Black is blocking his own monastery in the process, but we can live with it as Black. Steven with a city cap builds up the city on the right. Thomas with a straight line is going to block a little bit. Steven now with a really interesting tile. Several good moves here. So this is the last remaining triple city with a road, and he uses it to take a meeple back from Thomas's city, donating a couple of points to Thomas, but at the very least making sure that the city cannot be easily completed. But it still can be completed. A very interesting move from Thomas. I actually didn't see that orientation going. So this would be the standard move like this with the triangle, but he goes for the very, very direct approach. He's about to get blocked, but this is not to say this wasn't worth trying. So he's trying to put his city a bit more at risk, but make sure that he needs only 2 more tiles in order to complete it, so he can draw them a little bit faster. But of course, the downside is that Steven is now not going to block because Steven does not have a proper blocking tile. And he just goes on and builds on his city. Thomas finishes a little baby on the left, getting 4 points, temporary lead on the scoreboard, somewhat protecting the square. Now this blocking tile does not fit here anymore. Steven with the crossroad tile, probably looking to do either something like this and try to at least temporarily restrict the square, or maybe something like this at the top, hoping for a complete block in the future. The restriction sort of kind of works, and Thomas now is not able to go to this square, which he would have loved. Tough decision for Thomas. He could go here and cover up the square somewhat, but this would leave only the one remaining triple city that fits here. In the meantime, do let me know, as I'm always paranoid. How's the sound? How's the image? Is everything alright with the stream? Too paranoid. And if everything is alright, then go ahead and maple the like button for the algorithm. Alrighty. What is Thomas going to do here? So I guess that is the crucial decision. So either we cover up that square, hoping to get the one remaining triple city tile, or we don't cover up that square in order to still preserve the chances of getting one of the 2 regular Doritos or the one remaining splitter. So this is 3 more tiles accessible to us, but we also risk getting blocked if Steven gets a straight line and puts something here. But the thing that we gotta realize now, and I'm pretty sure Thomas has played this game long enough to know this, is that there is only one straight line. No, there's 0 straight line. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 0 straight lines like this remaining in the entire deck. So this here blocking move is no longer possible, and this in fact is a complete defense. So there's really no need in covering that up, and I absolutely love this move by Thomas. He discards the city tiles, but in a very, very neat way. He actually discards them in a part of the board where only he can use them. So he's setting up the starting tile to score 4 quick points over here, and he doesn't have to be afraid that Steven's going to get those points because Steven already needs the starting tile in another spot. So this is a move with immense depth of thought by the Croatian soon-to-be master. Their peak rating is just short of 700. I think it's 680 something. Steven, with a dagger tile, uses it to block Tampa's city now more definitively. This was the last dagger in the game, so now a dagger tile is needed here, but it does not exist anymore. Steven does not meeple anything. Thomas gets a 3rd monastery for his cluster. Steven cashes up on this setup. 6 points for the city, 9 points for the road, and a meeple back, and surely they're going to be now in the lead. Thomas now with only 1 meeple, but they're going to need to get a monastery meeple soon, and they get a city cap, and with that, they... No! Rushed move from Thomas. Mistake. No, Thomas. The move that he had to make, of course, was not to take 4 points, but to finish the monastery here. Yeah, to prevent exactly this sort of stuff. I mean, man, what you gonna do? Because he had to go for this 6-point field. This would have been an 8-point move. Instead, he went for a 4-point move. And yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. And also an instant move by the Croatian player. Because I just praised him so much for like thinking for 2 minutes and assessing the situation with the city and then realizing how to best discard this tile. And then he's going to just possibly even blow the game. I'm not sure about the score here. On a rather not too difficult move like this. Also, Steven with a very smart move, actually, now making it, well, much harder for Thomas to finish his just city that he has just begun, and also impossible for him to finish these two monasteries, because, as a reminder from earlier, there are no straight lines remaining in the deck to fit there. Yeah. The tragedy with Thomas's move earlier is that failing to occupy this field bears much further reaching consequences that otherwise one would expect. This is in fact the best field on the board. Now there are two 6-point fields. There's also this 6-point field, but the 6-point field in the center is barely accessible. In fact, it's only really accessible with a curve when you finish this and you do this and so on and so on. Yeah. And the field at the bottom also has considerable expansion potential. For example, there's still one remaining starting tile to go here to cash in on Thomas's setup earlier and score 4 points for the city and 3 points for the field. And yeah, it's just really all downhill from there. Score-wise, I think Steven is now slightly ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or more than slightly, actually. So I think what Thomas has got to do is to figure out his win condition here, if it even exists anymore. And the move that at least intuitively comes to mind is not taking these 4 points, of course, because it doesn't really do anything, because it's really 1 point, because it's in our opponent's field. It's between going here for 1 point and dropping a farmer and trying to attack the field, which feels like it's a bit too early, or maybe just going here. Yeah, exactly. And hoping to finish the city with the last remaining starting tile. That actually makes a lot of sense. Steven gets himself a lovely tile here to expand his field and bring even this city in and score 3 points for a road. Thomas, with 4 minutes on this clock. Well, now we're thinking where it's a little bit too late. Or actually a lot too late. It's not even a little bit. I guess the strongest move that I can see, if there's one to be made, is to go here, continue his city and drop a farmer. Maybe that will be 4 points, and then we try to draw the last starting tile to finish the city here. But it seems that whatever we do here, we should be spending a meeple. Oh yeah, wait a second. Just going here for 6 points actually makes even more sense. Why go for 4 points when you can go for 6? So that would be my idea here. Other than the starting tile, I'm not sure which are the two other remaining tiles, and this is something that's going through the player's mind at the moment. Well, there appears to be a curve, which actually does make quite a difference. Yeah, really, Thomas would have loved to have a curve here right now, so that he could do this and drop a 6-point farmer right here, but it's not going to be possible. Because you see, instead of Steven has the curve, Steven's going to go here in his last move, score a monastery point, and 6 points for this here farm with these 2 completed cities, and that's going to be a 7-point move. Yeah, so the highest scoring move for Tampa is played. Steven is... Oh, he's just going to score 4 points for a road. Yeah, whatevs. And still going to have a meeple to spend on his last move. And Thomas has the regular monastery, which means that he's not even going to finish his city. And instead, to rub it in, Steven is going to finish one more city in the field. And this will be a rather painful defeat for the Croatian player here. Well, first of all, because on this table, this duel is crucial for their winning chances. I'd say that Taiwan is a slight favorite here in this match. despite the fact that Croatia is the only hitherto undefeated team in Group G. Just the lineups look pretty strong. I mean, they've lined up Miss Penguin, who is with a peak rating of over 800. They line up Stephen Chang here as well. And yeah, Thomas is going to need to do his best at a comeback. And as we're going to see in a second, the score difference is actually not even that big. It is 16 points, which sounds like a lot, but really with just one move, with just that one move, a lot could have been changed. Because look at this. So being the first on the field matters a lot in these pre-endgame situations, in these early endgames or late middle games. Early endgames, I guess, with 10 tiles remaining. Because so Steven gets the advantage from finishing a lucrative feature, but as soon as he finishes this lucrative feature with the starting tile, then this here area becomes more valuable up for grabs because there's one extra city there and there are all of these green squares. And Thomas just instantly rushed and scored these 4 points. But wait, the far-reaching consequences, right? So as a result, Black has this 9-point field and Thomas doesn't have this. If the roles were reversed, it's kind of an 18-point swing, really, because if you think about it, then Thomas would have had the field, Steven would not have had this. Of course, Steven would have been able to score quick points and so on. It wouldn't quite be an 18-point swing, but even with the given tile run out, if only Thomas were to just finish his monastery here with the city cap and drop a farmer, I believe this actually would be enough for him to win, because he also drew this divider tile, which could have been used to go over here later and score some more points. Score 7 extra points, actually, for a completed city in his field. So yeah. Sad. The sadness. A lot of sadness, but what Thomas is going to do now is just put this all behind and try to play more consistently in the second game. This is also an interesting psychological phenomenon, and this is really the main reason why the journey from strong player to expert is much simpler and much easier than the journey from expert to masters. Because in order to make it from expert to master, in addition to playing well, you have to do so consistently, because you saw how Thomas was making all of these strong moves throughout the entire game, basically, and just made one mistake, and that's enough. And Steven, to his credit, actually really felt like he was in control of the game for the most time, especially with that lovely 75% setup for his starting tile and the 9-point city and 9-point road and the 6-point city. That's just really lovely playing here from Steven. So let's see if Thomas can come back in this one. And it does not appear to be the case, if I'm completely honest, because this position, even though yellow's ahead 2 points on the scoreboard, it is actually strategically lost for yellow. Because this meeple here, which is scoring 2 points, it's never coming back. Because there's nothing that's fit into the square anymore. All the 3 horse tiles that could serve as road ends have already been drawn. And with that, really the only way you can win here as yellow is either with copious amounts of luck or with egregious mistakes from your opponent. And based on the previous game, I don't think we're going to see the latter. So copious amounts of luck, perhaps. Well, not at first, as Steven is the first one to draw a monastery, and Thomas immediately follows suit to avert a complete disaster. I guess the way how you can make up for a meeple disadvantage is really just to score. And at the moment, Thomas actually has 8 points for a meeple. Let me explain. So everything, this rune is equal, this rune is equal, this meeple will bring 2 points at the end, but then these here meeples are likely to come back, and they're both standing on 2-point tile city caps, which eventually gonna get other city caps. So this is very close to justifying a meeple, but not quite. And now we're gonna see another problem of not having enough meeples. Thomas cannot use a meeple on his monastery, although maybe I would have considered that actually. Whereas if Steven draws a monastery, Steven's gonna easily, with great delight, go over here. Thomas again playing way too fast. He was stronger not to place this curve over here, but instead place this curve over here, setting up another monastery, something that Thomas would definitely like. In any case, some cities have been equalized. Stephen Chang with a monastery, the Road Monastery. He takes advantage of that spot whilst finishing Thomas's monastery, but I don't think Thomas is going to mind. Temporarily, they're ahead on the scoreboard. Still, this is a position which is incomparably better for Black to play. Hi, Vladimir. Steven with a Dorito tile, starting a new city on the left. Thomas with a splitter tile, looking to put some pressure on Steven's city on the right. They're now off chance ideas of drawing the tile that Steven just drew and kind of make a big city over here with a 2 versus 1 majority. Not going to happen anymore, as this is the last extender. Instead, Steven continues his city, interestingly. So, not going for a flower-shaped pattern. Instead, going for extended flowers. Actually, I'm not sure how this is going to work out for Steven. Cities like this with just one extender are not that easy to build. I think what the Taiwanese player is banking on is maybe a tile like this, like the not the extender, but the parallel city caps. And he could use another meeple here for support now that he has gotten a meeple back finally from the monastery. Catching up on the scoreboard. Thomas is actually doing pretty well for himself, as he did manage to score some city points, and now he has achieved his #1 objective for the game, is just to catch up on the scoreboard enough to adjust, to compensate for the lost meeple at the start of the game. He's also now going to be the first one on the field. Steven was an easy 4-point move, 1 point for the monastery, 3 point for the road, -11 on the scoreboard. Thomas with a curve, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, still 3 curves remaining in the deck, so maybe starting a new road makes sense, or just expanding his field to a 9-pointer. He wants to score, which should be his strategy here. Really, as many quick points as humanly possible. Getting a monastery now, trying to use it as a blocking tile. Steven, though, with a divider, has an easy way to continue his city, actually. And now Thomas, with a straight line, cannot even block that city very easily. What Thomas can do, though, is maybe start some nasty ideas against Black's monastery, which is exactly what he does, but Black immediately gets a tile to finish his monastery. Well, at least, unfortunately for Black, he's not going to be getting any points for this. I'm surprised that Black didn't drop a farmer, because eventually here and here could be possibilities. Thomas, again, playing very quickly, kind of just discarded the monastery, also developing the field a little bit, but Steven now finished a big city on the left, and now the tides have turned back again. So I was going to say that Yellow achieved their #1 strategic objective, which is to catch up on the scoreboard, but the #2 strategic objective was actually trying to equalize the city of Steven on the left, so that Steven does not get... Well, basically, so that Steven does not get the lead again. It's pretty simple. Didn't work out. And it looks like we're headed to a clean 2-0 again. Again, unless if Steven maybe makes an egregious mistake somehow, starts dropping 0-point farmers or whatever. But all he has to do is just really ignore the main field on the right and not start doing... Well, yeah, that's possible, but it was just so much better to go here and start a 5-point road. Both players ignoring this option. Steven would have had 5 extra points for free, but he does get himself a 4-point city, which is kind of nice. There's also a nice counter field brewing on the left, and Thomas now gets a much needed divider tile to grow his field. Pretty much his only chance is endless growth. But then there's another problem. Steven still has the meeple majority, so if yellow's field becomes too big, then this field will have many access squares for black to equalize. Thomas, with a curvy tile, has multiple options. Again, this 5-point road at the bottom still seems to elude both players. So I don't think he's going to go there. He's thinking about whether to start a new city, and this certainly looks like one of the more intuitive moves. An alternative is just to use this tile as a curve to expand his field here to bring in this city. So a lot to think about on this move. We also need to go through the remaining tiles here. For example, I see some interesting dagger asymmetry in the remaining tile pool. There are 0 left-handed daggers, but there are 2 right-handed daggers, and that's why Thomas thought for so long here. He thought, which of these 2 cities is less likely to get blocked? And actually, now that I think about it, he should have chosen the other one, just because with a straight line, of which there's still 3 remaining, it is quite easy to restrict the city. Whereas from the other side, a straight line would not restrict the city as much. So it's a difference of 2 city caps. In any case, Steven chooses not to attack the city, which gives Thomas a chance to really, do his thing and finish the city. And you kind of have to drop a farmer there. Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Steven developing his farm, so both players are going for indirect confrontation, which favors the side in the lead, which is black. Yeah, I can see that how Thomas does not want to drop a farmer at the top because his field is really not big enough to justify it. He kind of just wants to maybe get a curve and eliminate this attacking square a little bit later, or hope that Steven does attack and does so unsuccessfully. But this field invasion platform was just so good. Thomas gets himself simply 1 point. Steven does not get a farming tile just yet. Continues his city on the left. Thomas, with plenty of options here, he could go here, trying to restrict this guy's city, which is exactly what he does, but he chooses to meeple it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I guess it does appear to be justified. Well, Steven now with a dagger tile would have completed his city, so very timely invasion from the Croatian. In the meantime, the match between Finland and Hong Kong has just started. Steven with a wonderful 6-point farmer. That is a very smart move. Because you know what? First of all, there's a chance to get a tile here to score 4 points and invade the main field. And even if the invasion is unsuccessful, the point is trying to prevent yellow from expansion. Because black does not really need to equalize all the fields. Black just kind of needs to not let Philip score points for free. So what could be some moves for Philip? Sorry, for Thomas. Philip is his brother. Yeah, maybe something like this. That's actually kind of neat idea. So he wants to set up a 5-point road. And then maybe his plan is to try and unify all the fields and then reconquer all the fields. So by the way, the problem with this move, the short-term problem, is that it gives back one more city in black's field, in the black's side of the field, because this guy is now touching this here little construction. Yeah, I guess that's the issue there. But maybe if we somehow get a crossroads and then a pharma here, then connect, and then connect like this. Yeah, there's just simply not enough tile to do all this stuff. But there's also one more option. We can go here, drop a farmer like this, and then through the crossroads in our last tile, we go here, and we take away this 9-point farmer away from our opponent. So this would actually be a 15-point move. And you know what? If Steven's not careful, this could, in theory, win Thomas the game. So let me think about it. So Steven's ahead 12. Well, yeah, now it's time for Thomas to score, right? Steven's actually only ahead 10. Wait a second. So if yellow goes here somewhere, Steven's only going to be ahead 9. And then if we go here and make these shenanigans, like I was telling you, could I try to sneak in a second farmer through this area? Our field is going to be 18 points. And Steven's field is 9 on the left. So then the game would be tied. But still, black would have one more meeple to play with. And they just would need to score literally 1 point in order to win. Yeah, it seems that in order to win, Thomas would need to have a quick point tile like in this moment. I don't think there's really coming back. But let's see what one of the Croatian Carcassonne brothers can come up with in 6.5 minutes. In the meantime, on table 1, there's a decider between the Croatian master Bluste and Juha Hanemi. Let me actually put this way down. Maybe here. Table 2, Vegari, Orion, and Hydra Baby are playing their deciders. And on table 3, 4, 5, everything seems to be going pretty well for Team Taiwan. How can we engineer a win here for Thomas? It seems that making the best move is not enough. We have to provoke our opponents. Like, we have to make them make a mistake. But how exactly do we do that? So we have to entice them into dropping a 0-point farmer, perhaps. One option that I see is maybe we can unite all the fields now. So maybe we can go here. And then if there's a city cap remaining, which I'm not sure there is, we can try and go here and set up a field invasion like this, which is pretty weak. But at the very least, it will force our opponents to spend the tile on perhaps averting this threat. And who knows, maybe they're going to drop a 0-point farmer somewhere. Because the thing is, if they drop a 0-point farmer, then if we win the main field and they fail to connect, the score is going to be tied, in which case yellow is going to win because black was the starting player. So this is something what would be going through my mind if I were playing this as yellow. Yeah, that's not going to be it. That's not going to be it. There is simply just not enough tiles to do all this stuff. So Thomas is trying to go for the field attack. Wait, maybe... Yeah, but all that Steven has to do is not that. Wait, I think he can mess this up. I think he can mess this up because there's still a crossroads to do with all the fields. Well, actually, Steven can simply block. All Steven needs to do is just spend his meeple somewhere and score points, right? Oh, yeah, I think so. Actually, there's a way how he could mess this up. There's a way how he could mess this up. So, one remaining tile is a crossroads, right? And this is specifically the city crossroads. But the other remaining tile is a Dorito, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So this means that Thomas has guaranteed himself the connection over here. Which also means that this move was a mistake. And it's still just not going to be enough points for Thomas, I think. Like, Steven can do anything here. For example, just do this. Just do this, man. But I can see how he can miscount tiles. Check this out. And he might want to go here and drop a farmer for like a counter invasion, trying to be cute, saying, if you're going to get the crossroads, then you're bringing in this farmer plus my farmer. And then what's going to happen is that Steven's going to get the crossroads and Thomas is going to get the Dorito tile. So it is possible that the Taiwanese player might overlook the fact that the field can be penetrated from another side. Which also makes sense that Thomas were to try this plan, which requires multiple tiles, rather than the more direct plan over here. Because with the multiple tiles, at the very least, there isn't any... Like, there's a better chance for your opponent committing a mistake. Well... Steven did make a good move. He took 4 points and guaranteed himself the win, basically, and the crossroads was in Thomas's hands. But what if the Dorito were in Thomas's hands? So he would go here, Steven would still get the same points, and basically what this would mean is that Thomas would have 14 more points compared to what he actually has in this game. So let's see what the score would have been. Still should be a slight advantage. For Steven nonetheless. Yeah, so 5 points would be the advantage. But still, that was an excellent, excellent plan here from Thomas to try and swindle the win. And it was absolutely possible. There are definitely the players who would err on black side. And I have won plenty of games like this as yellow, like trying to induce a mistake like this. So a very creative idea from Thomas, but sadly just a bit too late. And it looks like was a very unfortunate opening for them, losing this meeple here. Then it's typically not that easy to convert an extra meeple advantage. It's kind of the equivalent of having one of your players get a red card in football with like 85 minutes still left to play. So then typically you would be expected to lose a situation like this, as Thomas did. Still kudos for the fight, but congratulations to Steven for really in both games keeping the control and bringing Taiwan much closer to a win in this match. So how we're looking again, Penguin EM, Hotly, Hotly. Okay, there's equality between Lorky and Hotly. So maybe this decider would be worth watching. They have just started. Well, if by just I mean 7 minutes ago. 15 minutes into the Finland's match, by the way. So, Hotly Hotly, that's Mingwei Chen, the runner-up of the 2022 World Championship of Carcassonne. He's now 4 points behind and is playing the red meeples. Rather closed position. A few blocked meeples. Let's get into this. So with bright blue meeples, Lorena Erstich has 2 of them blocked on a giant ruin for 16 points, if I'm not mistaken, or something like this. Could be 15, could be 16. Hotly has only 1 meeple here. This ruin can no longer be attacked, so these points will be successfully converted. Hotly has this here dangerous road, which is very close to being completely blocked. At least he can get some extra value from this meeple by prolonging this road. But overall, with all the quick points and everything, blue has the advantage here. Yeah, that road is just so unlikely to be finished because there's going to be, first of all, red's going to need to draw a dagger. There's 2 of those remaining, but still. And this dagger would also greatly expand blue's field. That's something that we haven't talked about yet. Blue here has a 0-point field at the moment, but a curve. Oh no, it's a 3-point field because it's touching this city. But if a dagger goes here, then it's going to get 3 points for this city, and then 3 points for that city as well. And then if a curve goes here, then it's going to get that city and that city. Like, there's just so many cities. Hotly now with a dagger. And red will be debating here whether it's even worth to try and complete that road. I would. Let's see what they decide. It's also possible to just take the city at the top here and try to play against this farmer. Just play a field restriction game. And this would justify the lost road and the lost monastery if only this farmer doesn't grow. Now, this is quite unlikely. Does not mean that it is necessarily not worth trying, but Hotly does go for the road, so the field is now big enough. Officially big enough. So, Lorena with still 2 points extra. And she has a lot in her ruin, and the farmer looks fantastic with 9 points and loads of green squares, and that's a very smart move. Do you know what it did? It's not just discarding a tile, it is actually a permanent block of Hotly's road. And the reason is, there's only 1 starting tile remaining like this, and it would be needed for red for this square, and now blue made sure that a starting tile is needed for this square as well. So this is quite a lovely type of blocking where you're not restricting any of the squares, but you're making sure that there doesn't exist a combination tile, a combination of tiles to fill in both of these squares, even though there exists a tile to fill each one of the individual squares. Both players exchange quick points. Hotly with a lovely monastery for 6. Lorky trying to block Minwei, who now is not able to score for this city next to his monastery. And in all likelihood, that monastery meeple is going to be trapped, because only one tile fits into the square. Lorky can go actually further with the blocking like this, but no, of course, going for the value is better. Starting all these moves hotly with a starting tile, does not bother defending his monastery, simply wants to block Lorky first, which actually makes a lot of sense because we're running very short on city plus road tiles. Hotly with another city plus road tile. Not something that our Croatian fans will like to see, as this tile is needed over here. Hotly just continues their road. Lorky could now go here and just in case permanently block this square. I maybe wouldn't bother yet. I would just continue here because this already looks pretty much broken as it is. But Hotly now chooses to get a curve and a meeple back and finish a monastery and get a meeple back. Now having more firepower to perhaps contest the main field. Lorky overvaluing the field, I think, and was a decision made so quickly. And she's going to stay without meeples for so long. But maybe this was justified. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. All I know is that there's only one city cap remaining for her to complete her city at the bottom, namely the one remaining, whatchamacallit, rose tile. But now she gets this, and now suddenly she has way more options to complete her city over here. Hotly takes 4 quick points. Now already has a solid buffer on the scoreboard. Curvy tile for Lorky, probably going to develop her monastery. She needs this. It's no time. Oh, that is better. That is way better. Oh, that's a smart. Blocking the road, or at the very least, even if the road is not going to, even if the last crossroads is drawn by Hotly, and this road is going to survive, then this here crossroads would expand the main field to include these 2 cities, a city cap for Hotly, and a 19-point lead on the scoreboard. Lorena's monastery is 2 tile away from being completed. Need I remind you that she's controlling all the heavy features on the board. Hotly drops a farmer, which is a good thing for Lorena, because if all the fields unite, she has the majority. She can try and complete her monastery. There's only one... Wait, there's 0 curves remaining. Is that possible? It's possible. It's a question of prioritizations. There's so many things to be done. She chooses to get herself a monastery point. Quick point tile for Hotly, over 20 points advantage on the scoreboards already. Is Lorky going to get a meeple back this turn? And yes, she is going to get it. She's going to finish her 10-point city, get a meeple back. This is huge. Straight line for Hotly. Are they going to drop a farmer somewhere? Are they going to try and go for the big field? I'm not sure they should. It's a rather complicated position. Instead, they protect their city somewhat at the top. And there's still 1 tile surprisingly to fit in the square. And now big decision time for Lorky. The main question is, do we want to blow up the position and make it a big field? And no, she says, but I think a crucial mistake. She chooses not to meeple anything. She's going to run with a meeple surplus. Straight line for Lorena. She takes 4 points for the road. Hotly's probably going to take 4 points for the city at the top here. Could also try and go for this, complete an 8-point city, which looks blockable, or an 8-point city over here. But it all depends on the remaining tiles. Well, there should be this dagger still, because I don't remember it being drawn. The question is, what's the other tile? And it looks like the position's pretty close, that whoever draws the dagger might end up winning or not. Or not. Maybe. So Lorena takes herself 4 points. On the right. Oh, there wasn't a dagger. Where did I miss a dagger? Oh, all 3 of them are over here. Ah, all 3 of them are over here. So this was a permanent block. Oh, so that's actually a lovely tile here for Lorky, because this means that Hotley could not develop their field at the bottom. Yeah, the thing with miscounting, oh, all 3 of them, man, because they're so similar. Like this and this are not the same, but this and this are in fact the same. And in fact, this. Oh, when was the last time you saw this? Where all 3 daggers here have different orientations, and all of them are on adjacent squares. This is the same left-handed dagger, except that it needs to be like twisted in order for y'all to understand. Wow. Lorky wins this 2 versus 1. Quite a comeback against the 2022 World Championship runner-up. Time to catch up with the chat, because I'm pretty sure y'all must have noticed something that I didn't. Yes, of course, y'all have been screaming at me that there have been no daggers. Yes, exactly, Elias. Alexey missed a dagger because they're next to each other. Anyway, score. Croatia has won this 3 versus 2. What a comeback. Blue Stay, Vega Orion, and Lorky are the players to deliver. The 2 strongest players from Taiwan, Steven and Miss Penguin, won on tables 2 and tables 3 and 5. Yeah, and now the tournament situation for Taiwan is pretty difficult. They kind of would just have to hope for Latvia's loss, which is something that I'm going to be actively preventing. But more about the tournament situation later. Let's now go to the Finland's match, and I just need to do some quick fixing. Did it work? Huh. What's that? Okay. Okay. I might not give you a proper... Oh, there we go. Yes, we're having ourselves a proper scoreboard with all the Finnish duels. So Nalaheim on table 3, the Finnish captain, and the other Finnish master, Larpa Tori, is so far winning on tables 2 and 3. As predicted on tables 4 and 5, the higher rated players, Sunny and YY, also predicting. So it looks like it could all come down to table 1. Hilik Lung against Lapinkoski. And this is where we head right now. Hilik has just won the first one a few minutes ago, and in the second one, Lapinkoski is the starting player. One of the 3 Finnish masters, Hilik. A maybe soon to be master, but not quite, with a peak rating in the mid 600s. Now getting a lovely tile, but not many places to place it. Yes, starting a new city on the right. So in the open position at the start, very even game. Lopinkosk with an interesting choice. Now, of course, we don't finish the city that we started on the left. Yeah, we do something like this. The alternative was to go here on the right. So the principle of two cities is being observed by the player with the red meeples. Also a bit confusing to watch because the flag of Hong Kong is red and the flag of Finland is blue, but the meeples of Hong Kong are blue and the meeples of Finland are red. It's confusing. Hi, Zvonimir. Congratulations for your victory. I think it's also good for Latvia for our tournament table. I'm not completely sure. But this should pretty much put Croatia in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Helik now with adventures, going for an early farmer, a move which I'm not a great fan of, but let's see how it can turn out. It can make sense. For example, now he can control his farm a little bit as Lopinkoski continues. Nah, not that. Prioritization. We needed, of course, to go here and prevent Lopinkoski from equalizing. Yeah, it's interesting how we're getting this opening position and already a lot of things to prioritize for both sides. But yeah, the reason why this defense here, oh, now he's going to get his meeple blocked. So this is a very dangerous city cap to be taken, actually, because, well, Lopinkoski cannot do now anything now, but he's going to go here. Maybe just get himself a meeple back. Yeah, kind of the best thing that you can do. Maybe going here was an option as well. But in this position, meeples are a bit more blockable than normal because of these two dagger tiles. You see there's now only one dagger tile like this with the turn to the left. And if red gets a Dorito or something, red could almost block blue's meeples. And in this position, meeples will be important because there is somewhat of a field fight going on. Oh, wow. And Helix still does not want to save his meeple. I really... I'm pretty sure, like, I'm about 90% sure that red is going to end up winning this. Because red also has a scoreboard lead, but both players seem to really want to ignore this here city. Now Helix can quite easily finish it, drop a farmer, and then be, again, in a good position. Because you see, now that all his meeples are pretty much safe, like this meeple on the right is also safe because the analogous block like this is no longer dangerous. Because the right-handed daggers that fit into the square, there are 3 of those, which is a lot. Yeah, and there we go. A city completed, a farmer dropped, and now already I'm like, it's kind of tough to play this position for red. Because I think as red, you do like your 8 points on the scoreboard, but the stronghold that Felix has on the farm is absolutely daunting. A move like this makes sense, just trying to score something for road and also put some pressure on Helix City. Lopinkoski is going to... Oh, Helix is going to go here probably, or here, trying to put pressure on the Finns road. A defense move is what we expect here. Or actually, this move is also not crazy, trying to build a long road which goes all the way in this monastery spot. Lopinkoski does not care much about the safety of his road. Instead, he chooses to attack Helix City, which actually makes a lot of sense because if he successfully blocks the square, then Helix is gonna... If he successfully blocks the square, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that move. How would I say this? I think that the player from Hong Kong is trying to be a bit too cute, and I think he's just throwing around meeples for a little bit too much. I don't know, it could end up working out. It definitely could. And this is a nice continuation that they've earned themselves for the city. But you see, if Lapinkoski successfully blocks this here square, and the Helix is going to be at quite the meeple trouble for a long time, because this meeple is going to be trapped, and this meeple is going to be trapped, because it's basically sharing fate with this road meeple. These three farmers are already trapped, but if Lapinkoski is the first one to score for this monastery, and if they all also successfully get themselves a road here for 6 points, then the field is not going to be enough for that. In the meantime, pretty interesting move for Lapinkoski at the top. Yeah, he's trying to go over here for a rather big completable city, make no mistake. And with a long-term meeple shortage, it might be not so easy for Helix to try and do something about it. Helix scoring 2 points in a safe location. Lapinkoski quite wisely chooses even to sacrifice a couple of points just to take the road away from whoever places a tile over here. Now trying to build more cities on the left. Trying to maybe start a counterfield in the future. Helix now protecting his city somewhat. Lapinkoski with a fantastic tile to build up the city at the top, but not like that. I thought players knew this at the expert level, because it's like the chances of completing this city are now so incomparably lower to what they would have been if this tile were placed to the left. I don't know, it's such a standard pattern. It's such a standard pattern. I'm really kind of, some of these moves make me puzzled, to say the least. So this, like so one more triple city, which still exists, and 4 Doritos, and that's it. And you just wait patiently for the entire game, and it's quite difficult for your opponent to do something about it. And I don't know, man. Because I guess Lapinkoski is not trying to finish that city, which is fine. It's not like he has to finish it, but at least it's nice to preserve that threat in the future. Because let's say if Helix gets more monasteries and stuff, which by the way he does, and look at this, he actually doesn't fill the square, which for him makes sense. Instead he chooses to start another monastery. Yeah, very, very interesting series of decisions for both players. I do like Helix's strategic idea though, because he still has the majority on this 12-point field. He's in no rush to give Lapinkoski a meeple back. Even if Lapinkoski gets a meeple back, you know, he might not even meeple that 8-point monastery because of the blockage of the square. Now Lapinkoski gets a meeple back way too prematurely. Helix now has quite an easy decision. Or maybe not so easy decision, huh? Okay, this one I understand. No, that's good. That's good. He finishes the city, pre-finished on one side. And then he hopes to get one of the 2 remaining crossroad tiles to finish the city and also cut short Red's road here. This square is already blocked, so this monastery is not ever getting recovered, and neither is this road. This city, however, is a significant threat. And Lapinkoski is now trying to invade the main field through the city. Isn't that fun? What a creative move from the Finn. I'm not sure if it's good, but it works. It works. Okay, now we have equality on the field. Now Lapinkoski is probably going to take 3 points here. But by the way, imagine if this city here were placed like this. He could have then gone over here and then set up a very serious threat of completing a 24-point city with 1 meeple, but okay. So -3 for Lapinkoski. Ooh, lots of stuff in the chat. Elias is saying, you tell everyone to meeple monasteries. Yes, yes, but not in that spot. So referring to this move here, I think a stronger monastery meeple would have been here, kind of covering up one's own city and waiting for a dagger tile. And then also going for a higher scoring monastery, and then having a very strong chance of drawing a curve and blocking red's meeple regardless, without blocking blue. So meepling monastery is lovely, just it's all about the placement. Glovier is saying this was a very premature attack, I feel, referring to this farmer, I presume. I don't know, at least the timing worked out. And now actually Lapinkoski is in a decent position because he's now trying to block Helix monasteries, which looks like he could succeed. I mean, Helix can score here, and then the Finn can go here, finish the city, drop a farmer, get a third farmer here. Then if Helix invades here with a monastery, then it's going to give a meeple back for Lapinkoski to fight. I don't know. But yeah, by the way, this city, just imagine like this and like this. It would have already been just 2 tiles away from completing, but never mind me. Helix successfully protects one of his monasteries, now looking very good for the Hong Konger. Hi, Daniel. Why are you not playing today, by the way? I see supporting Hong Kong in the chat. That's what they need. Let me just catch up with other scores real quick. Yeah, so nothing much has changed on the scoreboard. Let me just make this a tad smaller, I guess. So, blue is building up his monastery, and Lapinkoski gets himself finally a tile for a meeple back. Right? The question is, do we drop a farmer? He decides that we do, and I kinda like it. Now, it's a bit difficult to get that farmer in the field, though. That's a bit of a problem. But then if he doesn't do it, then Helix does this, and then we have a bit of a problem. So from Helix's perspective, an enticing idea is to try and draw some tiles that would cut access to this red farmer. And one of the options is to go here, but then this wouldn't be cutting off access entirely, because after these cities are completed, it's possible for red to sneak all the way around in here. Still possible for red to sneak all the way through the bottom by drawing something like a vanilla city cap and a regular monastery, yeah. So it looks like this evil hamster spot is going to make quite a big of a difference. So maybe as Helix, is it crazy to go here, start a new city, and then threaten, finishing the city, dropping a farmer? If we get blocked here, at the very least, we've cut off the entry. Instead, Helix chooses to just drop the city cap, and Lapinkoski does not chicken out. Chicken. Chooses not to meeple the monastery, which I think actually might be wise in this case, just because there are really not a lot of tiles that fit into this square anymore. But still, it feels so morally wrong to be not placing a meeple there, but I can understand him. In this case, he's probably correct. This doesn't change the fact that it is a chicken move, but it is a possibly correct chicken move. Because you see, red needs to have meeples in the meantime to get quick points. And even if he successfully completes the monastery for 9, it's possible that he would have given up more value in the process. So for example, now he successfully took 2 points here because he had a meeple in hand. So blue, dropping a farmer. Lopinkoski trying to connect to the field. Helik, pre-finishing one of his monasteries, is a fantastic position for blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, still 2 curves remaining to fit into that square. An attacking spot here. Lopinkoski needs to do something about it, maybe going over here, and that is a good choice. Helik gets himself the Vanilla City Cap regardless, the last Vanilla City Cap on the deck and connects to the field. And now it says 3 versus 2. Lopinkoski can connect over here, but blue can connect over here. These 2 monasteries get more menacing. The ruin at the top is worth already something. Lopinkoski is, I guess, still technically could complete it with the big city tile and so on and so on. Maybe he goes for it a little bit later. Helik, where the monastery tile tries to block the invasion of Lopinkoski. It's getting dangerous. And now, what do we do here as the Finn? We have standard scoring moves like taking 4 points here, 4 points here, 4 points here. Note that these 4 points also come with a blocking threat against this meeple. We could also just go here and try to finish our big city, which is not that crazy given that 1 big city tile is still available. Or maybe we could do this and drop a farmer straight away. No, not yet. Just the quick points for now. Monastery for Helik. Should it spell GG? So he does get into the field. He's going to have a 4 versus 3 majority even after Lopinkoski connect. But no meeples for Helik, which should not be a problem given the fact that Helik still has some tiles to recover meeples. He has 1 and exactly 1, scratch that, 0 and exactly 0 tiles that go here, and 2 curves to fit into this square. So Lopinkoski now needs to find a way to, first of all, I assume, go here and get their 3rd farmer in, yep, and then try to go somewhere at the bottom and get their 4th farmer in. Really, the only reasonable field invasion platform is here, although a bit more obscure one is here as well. Helik does not see it. He could have gone here. Lopinkoski now finds a fantastic field invasion platform over here. I presume you have to drop a farmer. But even then, it's not enough. You have to get a 5th farmer in because Helik has 3 monasteries, for crying out loud. It's 24 points. Lopinkoski has 14 points though, which is still not that bad. 4 for the blocked road and 10 for the almost blocked city. So he drops the farmer, as he should. Straight line for Helik is going to try and block that invasion. It's still possible for Lopinkoski to win. If he connects over here, which is not a given, and then tries to reconnect, Helik cannot block with this tile, but he can go at least here and try to eliminate this field connection platform, which still is a thing. There's still 1 remaining road Dorito to fit into the square, so he blocks off 1 path. The penultimate curve is drawn by Lopinkoski. Red is going to go here and connect. It is still possible for red. Never mind, I miscounted Dorito, so a meeple back for Helik, I presume? Or maybe not. It really depends on what's remaining in the deck. So it could be very much possible that the correct move in this situation is protect a field invasion square rather than getting the monastery meeple back. But getting the monastery meeple back is so enticing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, still a crossroads remaining. That would fit over here for a 7-point road, which could make the difference in the world. Because let's say, yeah, the reason why I think Helix should recover his meeple, because if he doesn't recover his meeple, if he does something like this to protect the field from invasion, then red could get a crossroads, score quick points, and then come just close enough on the scoreboard so that he could do shenanigans, so that he could try and do something about this. Lopinkoski with a quick draw. Helix gets a meeple back, but gives back an invasion platform. So, the penultimate tile for Lopinkoski. Is it possible to invade the field? And yes, technically it is, but I wonder if it can be blocked or not. Let me try and figure out what the final tile is. I'm not sure. So, I think one of them is a Road Dorito. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Just, can you wait, please, man? I was thinking of going over here and trying to invade. Yeah, but it would not have worked because of the block over here. I don't think there was a viable invasion platform. What needed to happen is that Lopinkoski needed to draw the Dorito right now. And he does. Also, what a smart move from Helix. Look at this. He took a 2-point road just to block this Dorito here, just to not allow Lopinkoski score a 8-point road, or 7-point road rather. But a 4-point road, or rather a 5-point city, or a 5-point city here, can be just enough for the Laplander based on a screen name, and that gonna sure make things very, very close. So the scoreboard lead plus the big ruin versus 2 monasteries, a completely equal field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 39-point field. That's definitely going into this week's Curiosities, and Helix prevails by 1 point. Look at this, the end game precision. So certainly some very interesting creativity at the start, but the end game, like that was really, like, this move, having the discipline not to get a meeple back, and then again realizing that he needed to block the long road and go over here. That's just a really, really beautiful end game from Helix. Yeah. It is super exciting indeed. It appears from the chat that Lopinkoski might not see the idea behind Helix's last move. But let's just stay with them until they actually realize. Okay, you can't be for real. Yeah, so Lopinkoski presumably does not see that they could have taken the 7-point road. So this move was in fact the only winning move for Helix. Yeah, because look at this. So Helix took 2 points to block 7, and instead Lopinkoski took 5. So that's a -3 exchange for Helix. If you were to do anything else, let's say take a 3-point road at the top, but then Lopinkoski gets 7, and it's -4. Now, this game would have still ended in a tie, but why sacrifice? But why sacrifice 1 point? Yeah, so Helix now finally explaining everything. Yeah, very, very exciting, absolutely win for blue here. As Helix games very often are, I've noticed from streaming him, they're so like always back and forth. Like the evaluation of a position changes just from black to white multiple times throughout the game. Alrighty. I see more support in the chat. Hi, Sunny. What, did Sunny win? I would assume so. Wait. Oh, so it's 2-2. Okay, okay, perfect. It's a decider on table 5. A decider on table 5. Decider on table 5. Why we... Why? Oh, why? No, wait, that's the wrong why. What's the numbers? Quit adding numbers to your screen names. That's so... Is it this why? I don't know. Man. Why? 202. Oh my. 1202. That one. Okay, so playing a decider against Yabla. Very evenly rated match. Now Yabla, of course, rated a bit lower with 354 versus YY's 431. And we also know from last week where YY rather painfully, very painfully lost on time due to something that wasn't discovered on about the way Board Game Arena counts time in Hong Kong's previous match last week against Hungary. That was, I think, his encounter against Kisamo, against Ferenc Kiss. But anyway, and at that point, YY had an expert level rating. Here, though, slightly lower, but Yablo also has played just under 200 games in Board Game Arena, so it's possible that their rating does not reflect the actual playing strength. At the moment, the scoreboard looks horrible for the Finn. However, you cannot say that about other stuff on the board. This ruin, worth 14 points, with 6 shielded tiles on it, is controlled by red, which already compensates the scoreboard. Now green has this 6-point field over here, and the 6-point monastery over here, and this soon to become 8-point city over here if there are still city caps remaining. However, red has this ruin over here for 6, and this road for round 12, and also now gets 4 quick points, 1 for the city, 3 for the road. So it is significantly closer than it might seem, but why? Finishes the city and drops a farmer, and with that, I think it should be very, 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 very hard for the Finn to win. Because there's nothing that fits into this square. I know it would have been super exciting to get the triple city and drop a farmer here for 6 points, but that ain't gonna happen. I think this might have been the tile for the game. And Finland could get themselves their first loss. That city appeared to score just way too much, and why too much? Yeah, 5 points monastery for that's so dumb. 5 points monastery for YY. Yabla is gonna take 4 for a different monastery. That's the best that they can do on their final tile, really. I'm not sure what the tile in the Hong Konger's hand is, but I know that it is not a curve. A curve, of course, could have given him a 9-point field extra. So I guess if I'm the Finn here, I'm just trying to, score 4 points. That makes a lot of sense. Also to rub it in 3 extra points from YY on his field. Pick your city cap of choice. This one's kind of looks a bit neater. Yeah, oh, okay, sure, this one, whatever. 3 city caps lying around. And yeah, looks like that final farmer is going to do the job for YY and Team Hong Kong as a whole. As the incompleted features are counted, the advantage is still with Finland. But soon enough, we're going to see all the farmers getting scored. 9 points on the left, 3 points at the top and 6 points in the middle, are going to put green 12 points ahead and keep Hong Kong's World Championship campaign still alive. So Finland's streak has been stopped. Their record is now 3-1, and they still have a pretty decent tiebreaker from this one. Congratulations to Hong Kong. Indeed, they really, really needed this victory in order to stay alive. And now what we're going to try and do is just see how all of this affects the tournament standings. Let's start with Finland and Hong Kong. So Finland now drops to 3 and 4. Their tiebreaker only slightly deteriorates to 15 and 5, so it's a plus 10 difference. And surprisingly, they're still, well, they're behind China now. So if China wins against Catalonia, then China's going to surpass Finland as the only undefeated team. Now, if Catalonia wins against China tomorrow, then China's going to make their tiebreaker slightly worse. And Finland's going to stay in first, and Catalonia is going to jump in third with 3 wins. And then we're going to have 3 teams with 3 wins in 4 matches, so that will be somewhat exciting. Now, Hong Kong would not want that to happen. They'd rather that China just win everybody. And then they would try and prevail against... So who is Hong Kong yet left to play? I think Hong Kong hasn't played Australia yet, where Hong Kong would be expected to win. Hong Kong played Hungary, Hong Kong played... I guess it must be Hong Kong, China, right? Because they've played everybody else. Oh, wait, no. There's only one. Obviously, there's only 5 games. There's only 5 matches. So Hong Kong has not played Australia. So Hong Kong is likely to have 3 victories in 5 matches, because I think Australia, as the new team, they just don't have enough players to put up against LSC, Sunny, CT, Helik, Easton, all of these guys. So then Hong Kong's going to be with 3 victories and with a decent tiebreaker. Actually, yeah, they just have to kind of hope that Catalonia loses. So I think that fans of Hong Kong must just become the fans of not Catalonia. That's as simple as this. But it's not entirely in their hands. Because if Catalonia wins this week and next week, then there could be several teams with 4 victories. Yeah. Finland is yet to play China. This is also pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't see Finland losing their playoff spot even after today's loss. Even if Finland were to lose to China, they're still going to be with 3 victories and such a good tiebreaker. Unless they lose to China like 5-0. Yeah, so really for Hong Kong, it's just hoping for Catalonia's demise. For Finland, it's really just about avoiding a disaster. For China, it's about avoiding 2 disasters. But let's see how they fare against Catalonia at first. So if Catalonia loses against China, this is going to be great news for Hong Kong. Now, if Catalonia wins against China, it's going to be great news for everybody, because we like convoluted, exciting, unclear tournament tables until the last moment of the championship. Hi, Carcassonne, Hong Kong. So, yeah, so much for Group A. Group G, though. Croatia just won against Taiwan. The only undefeated team. So 3 victories in 3 matches. For Taiwan, oh, I guess that's kind of it, because they just played 4 matches. and they have won 2 out of 4. Yeah, so Croatia have pretty much guaranteed themselves the qualification for the playoffs, and I think they even guaranteed themselves the first spot in the group. So what's the tiebreaker? So Taiwan is now at 10-10, and Latvia is at 6-9. Well, actually, it's also a very straightforward situation in Group B. So Croatia is going to be in the lead because their tiebreaker has gotten even better with 11-3. So there is no 11-4. So they're now at +7. Jules won. Oh wait, no, Croatia's still going to play somebody. I guess Croatia could lose to Belgium. That's the country that they haven't played yet. Wait, no, do they? No, yeah, they're playing Belgium. Like, Taiwan is having a rest week next time. Croatia, I guess, could lose to Belgium. In which case, if Belgium wins big and if Latvia loses big, then Belgium's going to be qualified from the second spot. And actually, if Belgium wins, they're going to overtake Taiwan regardless. Because their tiebreaker is going to be at least as good as these guys. Well, it depends. Well, let's say if Belgium wins 4-1. But then if Belgium wins, this could also be kind of good for Latvia if we still want to have a look at that first spot. Because if Latvia were to win big against Tucic in the last match, then Latvia would also have 3 victories together with Croatia, except that our tiebreaker would be better. So then I think it is beneficial for Croatia, Belgium, and Latvia to schedule their match for as late in the week as possible so that they know exactly what is needed for their playoff chances. And then they can select the lineups accordingly. Yeah, maybe something like this. So the situation is a bit more complicated in Group G than it may seem. Croatia has guaranteed a playoff spot, but they have not yet guaranteed themselves the first spot in the group. So they will be still trying hard to win against Belgium. For Latvia, though, we still absolutely have to win our last match, because if we were to lose, then our tiebreaker is going to be worse than Taiwan's, and the best we can do is the 3rd place in the group, provided that Belgium does not win against Croatia. Now, the 3rd place in the group might be enough to qualify for some groups. It's not going to be the case in Group G, simply because, again, the tiebreaker is not great. Nico is saying we will normally play Monday or Tuesday. Well, I'd love that as a streamer. By the way, also, if team captains are watching this, like, the more matches y'all can schedule for Monday to Friday as opposed to Saturday and Sunday, and really as opposed to Sunday, the more coverage, the better quality coverage they're going to be. Because on Sunday, for example, I'm having like a 10-hour mega stream. I have announced only the first half on my channel, and there's so many matches that I've spent like half an hour just making the thumbnails. Anyway, so this is the tournament situation, and I guess for the growth of Carcassonne, it's good. It's a good thing that Hong Kong won against Finland tonight. So Finland's chances for qualifying are just fine, and Hong Kong still keeping the intrigue alive in Group A. Oh yeah, plans. Tomorrow, 2 streams already announced. There is a link somewhere on my channel. First of all, Thailand against Romania at 1500 UTC. Should be an exciting banger. Oh, they have the lineups. Let's have a look. Okay, so Paksha is going to win against Michnia. Mars is going to win against Shawin. And then we don't know. Giraffe is probably going to win here. And then, actually, I think So Thailand is likely to win here, and this could be a very interesting decider with a slightly favorable, more favorable outcome for Thailand. So this should be an absolute banger, and that's why I'm bringing in a special guest tomorrow as well, with serious tournament implications for Group C. And the other one is going to be Ukraine versus Mexico, where Mexico absolutely desperately needs a group win. We don't have the lineups just yet. We're going to have them in a couple of hours. I'm going to get a special guest to that one too. So 2 streams, make sure to be there. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the notifications, and click the bell icon, and also meeple the like button if you like anything about the stream. And if you like this really much, I also have enabled the super thanks button for y'all as well. That should be enough for today. Oh yeah, Nalaham is saying, would love to schedule China-Finland for a weekday, but the time difference is likely going to be a big issue there. Yeah, that is true. But you know, we did have a weekday match between Europe and East Asia regardless today. So sometimes they can happen. But I think one underrated option is for the European team to play kind of late, and for the East Asian team to play early in the morning. Because I mean, I personally wouldn't do that, but I know some people apparently are like massive morning people and like wake up at 6 a.m. and stuff. And then what could be a better way for y'all to start a day than to play a game at the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship? Gotcha. Elias is saying, rumor is that the Mexican captain is still thinking about the lineup. Well, you have 2 hours. So typically what I'd like to do as a captain, by the way, I just like to put in the first thing that comes into my mind at the start. And then if I want to make changes, I make the changes after. But then at the very least, I know that I'm not going to miss the lineup submission deadline. Because before the deadline, the system allows you to change the players many times. Alrighty, then that's truly it. See y'all tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.